Welcome to the 2021 State of the City Address. I am Bert Cook, the Executive Director of the Laporte Economic Advancement Partnership. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us this evening. We have a number of elected officials and city department heads with us tonight, and I'd like to acknowledge them. So I'll start with State Representative Jim Pressel. I know I saw Jim here somewhere. Becky, you're the more important one anyway, so Becky Pressel. Courtney Parthun, our clerk treasurer, she would have the 4 beers that she's walking back here, so. From our city council, we have Tim Franke, Laura Cutler, Carol Ficus, Paul Vincent, and Julie West. Please feel free to stand up. Jessica Romine from the Board of Public Works. Our city department heads, we have, and I'm going to read the entire list. Please stand up and then we can applaud them at the end. We have Nick Minnick, our city engineer. Jeff Batchelor, the Director of Code Enforcement. Beth West, our Director of Transport. Mark Schreiber, Superintendent of Parks and Recreation. Jerry Jackson, Wastewater Superintendent. Tim Warner, Water Superintendent. Jessica Bruder, Director of Communications. Andy Snyder, our Fire Chief. Paul Breton, Chief of Police. Jen Knoll, Human and Community Relations Director. Nick Otis, our City Attorney. Matt Hagenow, our City Attorney. Mike Fraze, Superintendent of the Street Department. And our Interim City Planner, David Heinhold. Thank you for being here, everyone. In a few moments, I will introduce Mayor Dermody to share all the great things going on in our community. But before I do that, I would like to recognize a few special individuals. The Laporte Economic Advancement Partnership has experienced significant positive changes in recent years. We've grown in size, grown our membership, grown revenues, and increased our impact in this community. None of this would have been possible without the tremendous leadership of our board of directors. We have 3 board members ending their service, and while I won't make them walk up here, I would ask that they stand and be recognized as well. Laura Francisconi has served on our board for 6 years and as an executive committee member for 3 years. She's currently one of our board chairs and has always been a wise and tactical leader within our organization. Steve Kring has served on the LEAP Board of Directors for 7 years, with 3 years on the executive committee, and Steve will be completing his time as our other board chairman. Steve's calm and consensus-building approach has been incredibly helpful in achieving our goals. Sarah Brown has served on the board for 6 years and has been the chairwoman of our ambassador committee for the last 4 years. She's played a vital role in growing that committee and training countless ambassadors for our organization. So if you'd please help me in recognizing the service of all 3 of those individuals. So each year we recognize an individual or individuals who go above and beyond the call of duty in their service to LEAP. We call this the Ambassador of the Year Award. This year we have 2 individuals who have earned this recognition. Britney Smith has been the one person that we could call at any time with a request for help. She's made her service as an ambassador a priority and consistently rose to any challenge. She's a wonderful representation of her company, Compress Air, and a great example of the Laporte community. Additionally, Selah Brooks has perfect attendance at all of our LEAP events this year. He can always be found networking and representing our organization and Dunlin Media. If you haven't met Selah yet, first of all, I'm shocked, but he's also a high-energy young leader in Laporte and will no doubt be a force for change in this community long into the future. Both of these individuals are also members of our Young Professional Network. I'd ask both of them to come forward and we'll take a quick picture. So thank you for helping us recognize these wonderful individuals. Now on to our State of the City address. Mayor Dermody will be up momentarily to share a brief presentation on the 2021 year for the City of Laporte. At the conclusion of his presentation, we'll have a question and answer session. Earlier this week, the mayor asked our community for any and all questions you'd like to have answered. We selected the best of these questions and we'll get them answered this evening. Additionally, you have note cards at each one of your tables. If you have questions, I would strongly suggest you write those down. Our staff will be around to pick up those questions, and we'll ask the mayor here tonight. So without further ado, he's Laporte's proudest member. He's a man of the highest integrity, and he's not afraid of a little competition. Mayor Tom Dermody.
Take your notes off. Good evening, everybody, and I am very excited to be here tonight. I don't know what Bert was talking about, but he said brief presentation, and I have 70 slides. So he just needs to settle down, and it's going to be a while. But I am excited. This is exciting times, and these first 2 years have been obviously interesting, to say the least. With a global pandemic and not a playbook to know how to handle it, it's been interesting. But every day, despite that, our team went to work to make Laporte a better place for our residents. And I'm so honored to be a part of that team with our city council members, our elected clerk treasurer, our department heads, and our employees that go out and work every day, that many of them couldn't be here this evening. But my team starts close to home, and a lot of things couldn't happen without Jackie D. I've taken her on quite a little roller coaster run in this thing called life, and I just really appreciate and love her for always standing by me through all this fun and enjoying times. Number 2, Annette Lefler, who we call the glue, chief of staff, that could not be here tonight, but I hope she's watching on a beach somewhere. A lot of things don't get done if she's not there day to day. And we're so fortunate to have her. After 31 years, she knows every crook and cranny of how to get things done, and we are so appreciative that she stuck around for this term. But I'm excited. We've accomplished a lot in 21, and I'm excited to share that with you. So as we look, what were our priorities in 2021? Infrastructure, housing, public service, economic development, and quality of life. So let's start with infrastructure. Many people think infrastructure are strictly roads and sidewalks, but it's also wastewater, water, and even what we call fiber or internet. So our infrastructure, if you haven't been made aware of this, we have a 100-year-old system in water and wastewater, and we need $100 million to upgrade that infrastructure. And if you've seen firsthand here, our water department, some of the piping and infrastructure with the sediment that's developed over the years, causing water not to flow, and also causing dirty water issues for our community. As well, we have an old well system that if we don't upgrade and replace, we could affect 65% of the water that our residents receive in the city of Laporte. Our wastewater system, as you can see firsthand, has issues, causing water to back up on our streets, as well as basements at homes of our residents. But we have Tim Werner, our water department superintendent, Jerry Jackson, where are you, Jerry? Our wastewater superintendent, and thanks to their leadership, We're now moving slowly to upgrade our system, and you see firsthand pipes, installation happening in the city of Laporte, which many of this is happening with our own internal team to save the taxpayers money. And we've heard for years, you've probably heard for years, Monroe Manor is never addressed. Well, before your own eyes, over the past few months, we are now upgrading wastewater to Monroe Manor. Besides wastewater and water, we do roads. And Nick Minnick and the team in the city of Laporte has made great strides over the past 5 years. We've probably upgraded roads, at least close to 50% of them, but we got a long way to go. We have a $30 million road problem right now, and we receive just under $2 million a year to upgrade those roads. So that is why you see us every day in 2021 looking for new technology, new ways to do things from companies that do it every day, because we will have quality roads across the city of Laporte. And besides roads, our street department, thanks to Mike Fraze and his leadership as the street department superintendent, we are going to be pothole-free Laporte. And if you haven't heard that, you will again very soon, because our street department filled 2,300 potholes this year so far. And we will continue to work, weather allowing, every day to fill those potholes. But our street department does a little of everything. They even clean streets, sidewalks that are not even our responsibility, because we have pride in the city of Laporte. And this is an example as you walk and drive up the overpass many months ago that we took it upon ourselves and the street department did to clean this area. So besides streets, we talk about paths, sidewalks, trails, and we've had an issue for years with students walking on the road to our middle school or our junior high to get there. Even back to when Mitch Ficus was walking 10 miles in the snow without boots, he was doing it in the road. But thanks to the Healthcare Foundation of Laporte, and thanks to Tim Frankie and the City Council, they came up with an 18th Street Greenway that students now safely walk to work and to home every day, and residents get to use it to exercise every day. We also know trees are a part of infrastructure. And we also know in an old community, we have old trees. And when we have issues, they affect our roads. They affect our automobiles. They affect our homes, and they affect our neighborhood. But thanks to our engineering department and our sustainability engineer, Sarah Nimitz, Sarah, give us a wave. They began the Healthy Tree Team. And for 2 days, were trained by an arbor master and then went to work. And the following 51 days after the training, they made 65 tree assessments, 93 tree removals, 24 trees pruned, and 38 stumps removed. And thanks to them, we're excited about getting control of our trees here in the future. So thank you, Sarah and her team. But as well, we look for new infrastructure. And I believe every business, every resident in the city of Laporte should have access to affordable internet. And we were excited when Surf Broadband Solutions came to us and said, we are going to invest $10 million in the city of Laporte to make sure everybody does have access. And we're excited to see fiber going everywhere in the city of Laporte over the last 6 to 8 months. and making that become a reality. And officially calling us a gig city. But as well, you've heard me talk about removing truck traffic off our downtown. To do that, we need an alternative route. We need a north-south economic corridor. And we need federal support to make that happen. And we don't care if it's a Republican, Senator Young, or a Democrat, Congressman Frank Mervan, or our state legislator and roads chairman, Jim Pressel. We're going to work with everybody to make sure they understand our corridor is the #1 priority for all of them, and they need to help to invest this. And we're excited about that future. So as we talk about, you've heard us all mention 30 by 30. If we're going to be 30,000 people by 2030, we have to have enough housing of all types to make sure that's happening. Affordable housing to high-end housing and everything in between. But we had to start with a new standard. And you've all heard us talk about 701 Maple. And 701 Maple, we began and said, no longer, no more. And this is an example of on the roof, the algae that was on top of there while people lived below last year. This is broken windows throughout the building. And I'm a strong believer in the broken window theory, that one broken window leads to crime, vandalism, and things that we no longer accept in Laporte. And people will live in respectful housing, not like this that you see in 701 Maple, or not like that. But thanks to Tommy Very, a developer that cares and has been a great partner in Laporte, look at these renderings of what people will see when they begin to rent in 701 Maple at the beginning of next year, and the transformation that's happened. As well, Flaherty and Collins. We've all seen this project develop on the old Alice Chalmers site. We had to turn, and many mayors before me deserve the majority of the credit, but we've seen where there was over 80,000 tons of contamination on this property, and to be able to turn that into something positive is amazing. And some of you may ask, how much is 81,000 tons of contamination, as you see the Alice Chalmers orange here? Thanks to the creativity of Nick Minnick, it's equal to 16,000 circus elephants that were removed out of Newport Landing for affordable living. And take a look at what will be the banks very soon sitting here in Laporte. As well, Dudley Byler buying 702 Lincoln Way and turning that old building into something positive where we have retail space in the bottom with a local Laporte young adult that has taken Downtown Delights and turned it into a fantastic yogurt shop, as well as downtown lofts for our walkable downtown that it will be someday, and something that we can be proud of. And Tommy Very with the Lowe's building, that will also be downtown. And before we talk about TIDMA, we are so fortunate to have an individual with a business that has focused because of his passion and love for the city of Laporte, and is our only true developer of neighborhoods and housing in the city of Laporte. And yes, his better half is a city councilwoman, but I just want to give credit and thanks, and I'm going to ask Mitch Ficus to stand up because he has invested so much of his own money to make Laporte a better place. So Mitch, please. And housing continues with TIDMA Bakery. Affordable housing. Tim, a bakery building which had health and safety concerns for years. We took that down, we cleaned it up, and now we're excited to have this property available for development, for affordable development. Whether it's a nonprofit that comes in and builds affordable housing, or whether it's a private developer that wants to give back to the community, this is now available. But none of this development would have happened if not for our code enforcement team and their director that set a new standard, Jeff Batchelor. Because I'll tell you what, whether it's residential, that's unacceptable. Another residential look, and yes, if you didn't notice, by the way, those are chickens in the back, in the city of Laporte. Or if it's industrial, when businesses leave our city and leave their buildings and don't take care of it, that's no longer acceptable. And you can see the difference that's been now made, because Laporte is no longer a dumping ground for anybody. And we talk about public service. Let's start with our fire department. In public service, what are we doing to help and protect our residents? Public service, I will tell you this, our fire department is no longer your grandfather's fire department. Yes, we still have some fires, but of the over 2,300 calls for service, the majority of them were health related, medical related, with many of them putting people at risk and trying to save their lives. So as you see moving forward, you're going to see a much different fire department than you did 20 and 30 years ago. Also, we talk about living the lake life. And thanks to the Healthcare Foundation again, the Laporte Fire Rescue Boat is available to those that might need help that are out enjoying living the lake life. But most importantly, it's keeping our best and brightest and making sure they stay in Laporte. So whether it's the fire department, whether it's the police department, who tomorrow in the past here could have gone to a neighboring community and make $20,000 more on their next day. We have now, thanks to the City Council's commitment and the leadership not only of Fire Chief Andy Snyder, but Police Chief Paul Breton, we are now keeping our officers, and we're committed to that, and make sure they know that Laporte is the place to be to retire. Because we ask a lot of our police department as well. We are going to continue to crack down on the drug traffickers that are in our community, and we will go house to house if we have to every day, as you see here. But as well, our police department has pulled over or made 5,000, and I want to make sure I get this right because I know Stan's here. Our police department has made over 5,000 traffic stops that many have led to criminal arrest for warrants or drug-related activity. And we will continue to press and push to keep our community safe. As well, transport and Beth West. Beth West, our director, and her team. The best thing that they did this past year was stay open during a global pandemic so that those in need, those that needed help, could still get to the grocery store for food. They could still go to the pharmacy for their medication. They could go to the doctor's office for their checkups. They could go to their dialysis appointments. And year to date for this year, Beth and her team have provided close to 30,000 trips for residents of Laporte. Now we get to one of my favorites, our elected clerk treasurer, and I can say this, Courtney Parthune, somebody that should have this job for life. She's forward thinking and changing the way we do things for our residents. She has brought a program on, paying bills online, so that every resident in our community can coordinate, work with the city of Laporte from the convenience and comfort of their own home. And so Courtney, she's done so much. She's a great leader. We're fortunate to have her. Thank you so much as an elected official. So we're keeping our employees. We've got a great staff. We've got a great team. We're going to keep them. Jen Knoll, our Human Resources Director, has the tough job of continuing to improve, come up with new ways to improve our benefits so our employees know that we care. As well, she's leading a charge for accountability so that we make sure all employees receive pay increases based on their performance, not just based on how many years they've been here. So thank you, Jen. Well, when we bring 30 by 30 to Laporte, we got to have them something to do. We've got to give them a reason to be here, and that's economic development. Bert Cook and his LEAP team, Bert, where are you? Has led the charge at bringing business and opportunity to Laporte. And we took a risk. At the Thomas Rose Industrial Park, we said, if you build it, they will come. And he partnered with the developer that said, we'll take that risk with you. And sure enough, what happened? But a global industry leader, as Patrick Industries is from Elkhart and globally around the world, has signed a lease, and they're coming to Thomas Rose Industrial Park very soon and taking 60,000 square feet, and we just signed another manufacturer to the remaining 90,000 square feet of this building. So we're excited about what is coming to the city of Laporte and excited for more opportunity here. But it's not only in the city of Laporte. What happens in the county is good for the city, and what happens in the city is good for the county. That's why you see the two developing economic development teams working together to keep EPAC here in Laporte, expand with a new building here versus going off to Michigan and setting up shop. And that's because we don't play games. We're willing to work with anybody that wants to work with us. And then we have, as an example, making everybody welcome in our city. We have Horizon Bank setting up a Spanish-speaking branch on the east side so our Hispanic population feels welcome in the city of Laporte. And it's kind of neat to drive around without talking to business owners, without talking to property owners, and without any asks or questions, to see the work that they're doing now because of the work the city's doing. They're improving, cleaning up their property every day, and that's a neat sign. Oh, and by the way, if you didn't know this, this is the Don George property, and we have a small hole in the roof. You probably haven't seen it, but just in case, this building will be demolished very soon before the end of the year, and we're excited about the development that'll happen there along with Lily Lake and see what can happen. So that brings us, when we bring these people here, what are we going to do to keep them here? And that's quality of life. Because I've heard from many people coming into this position that we need more things to do. And so Mark Schreiber, our park department team, partnering with the Healthcare Foundation, Maria Fruth, Michelle Magnuson. Can you imagine if we did not have the Healthcare Foundation of Laporte in our community? Thank you for all that you've done. You see the bridge upgrade. You see sitting, what an opportunity just to sit out and look at our beautiful lakes. Stone Lake, even the Clear Lake Loop, that'll be coming very soon. And as well, we wanted to make sure everybody has access to a kayak launch. So this one is ADA accessible for everybody. Or you can go to Kessling Park and enjoy a round of disc golf course or a disc golf and the new increase of activity for everybody, pickleball. And Kessling Park is a great area. Drive by sometime and see all the activity of this new exercise called pickleball. So we talked a couple years before taking office that we need to showcase our lakes. And what better way than to have Lake Fest? And I'll tell you what, Lake Fest was a success, and there's more to come. Each year will be better, but this would not have happened without the Visitors Bureau from Michigan City, Jack Arnett and Laporte County, and I think we have a couple people, Gail Johnson, Amy Riley. Thanks for all the CVB and they do to help promote our city and everything we have to offer. But it was a great weekend that we even brought home Laporte legend Rich Hardesty to play in the inaugural event, and it was just fantastic, and he wants to come back. Or he better want to come back. And then we have this. This is your house, a 100-year-old Civic Auditorium. And by the way, our new event planner, Brett Benversi, has he done a great job with the new lights? Now everybody will see the fouls that Nick Otis creates in adult basketball now that there's lights. But the Civic needs to be a place that we generate events year long, all year long. And we've already started with concerts. You see the main floor, Laporte. And even thanks to ESPN, the U.S. Marines National High School Basketball Tournament will be coming here January 6th through the 8th. And ESPN will be broadcasting for 3 days right here from the Civic Auditorium. And I got to tell you what, Nick Otis and Newbie Lewis, Kaminsky Jones, and Matt Haganaw, we're fortunate to have them as a part of our team. And I'm going to say one thing about Nick. He does a great job from a legal perspective, but is always stepping up and helping our team in other ways that an attorney normally wouldn't have to. So thank you, Nick. And then our communications director, Jess Bruder, who developed Living the Lake Life and the brand new logo that people love. She went above and beyond to make sure that people recognize La Stitch, which is our downtown event area at Monroe and Lincoln Way, to provide Friday night live events throughout the summer that we could all enjoy. And thanks to Arnett Construction, Edward Jones, many businesses have bought in to say, we believe Laporte is the place to be for events. And I see John Salisbury, I see Sarah Brown. Thank you to both of you. And really to all our sponsors that have helped make everything happen throughout this year. We're excited about that. I will also tell you there's sponsorship availability still out if you would like to further do so. But as we close, we want not only our residents to believe Laporte is a special place, but we want statewide everyone to know that Laporte is the place to be. And what better way than to have our Lieutenant Governor, Suzanne Crouch, showcasing our logo, our shirt of Living the Lake Life for everybody to see in the Indiana State House. So it's been exciting times. I'm very proud to be a part of this team that's made a lot of this happen. We still have work to do, and we all get that, and we're driving every day. But I can't wait to share next year with all that's happening in 2022. So thank you for your support, your belief in this team, and most importantly, the belief that Laporte is a special place, and we do compete with the best. So thank you.
All right, so we are going to take some questions, and as I mentioned earlier, we had a lot of really good questions submitted over the last few days. Before I do that, I'm going to correct two mistakes that I made. So one, I know she doesn't care about it, but Laura Knesny, our city council person, I was left off. My apologies. You're one of my favorite to work with, so thank you for being here. The other is Chief Breton, if I don't make it home tonight, please investigate Courtney Parthun because I am getting all kinds of threats already from her. All right, so questions that we have, and Mayor, we're just gonna go through these quickly, so I'll spit them out and you answer them. The city of Laporte has condemned many properties this year. Why have you been focused in this area?
Well, I think we've heard from many of our residents, as you heard talk about the rental units and making sure there's a new standard of living in Laporte. And we had to set a tone. We're not going to allow people to live in our community in the type of examples that you've seen here today. It's just humanitarian to do the right thing, and it was pretty simple. And I think you're seeing now the hard time last year, we didn't make people homeless. Jeff Batchelor, besides code enforcement, worked even through Christmas Day, finding people homes to live in where bed bugs, rats weren't running all over through the house where families had children or elderly people. It's unacceptable. So we had to do the hard groundwork to get where we are and continue moving forward as you see today.
Okay. Are we working on making Laporte a quiet zone, meaning no train whistles throughout the city?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you what, David Heinhold, our city planner, is working extremely hard on that. This is something we're partnering with Northwest Health, with the hospital, and needs to happen, and we want to see a quiet zone, and we are in the process of moving forward on that. Aren't we, David? Yes, sir. All right.
So as you can imagine, we had a lot of road questions, so just a few here. Where does the wheel tax go?
The wheel tax goes directly into our road improvements. If we did not have our wheel tax, we would only be able to do probably about 25% of what we do now. And without the wheel tax money, we could not use those dollars to then go for state grants to double the amount of money for road work.
How do you decide which streets get paved each and every year?
Well, Nick Minnick has done a fantastic job with a PACER rating system. And what I think people get frustrated about is using dollars to maintain our good roads. But I can tell you what, if we don't maintain our good roads and keep them good, the cost of letting them fall apart and then fixing them is at least 10 times higher than the amount of money that we spend to keep them good. And I guess I should say, so we maintain the good roads and then look around, whether it's F Street by the school system. We know we want the school system to be proud of where they are, and we know there's a lot of traffic in and out. So we try to look at school systems and other areas that are in desperate need to be cleaned up. And you'll see some in the spring here begin to work once the weather breaks, and we'll start on our road program again.
How do I let the city know of a pothole or needed road repair?
You just call the street department, let them know, and they are on it. And Mike, how quickly do you turn around a pothole? Within 48 hours? 48 hours. And what's that phone number? 219-362-2477. There you go, because a lot of people will text me, and then I forward it. And some that have texted me at 3 in the morning, please don't call Mike at 3 in the morning.
What is being done to eliminate drug trafficking in Laporte?
Boy, that's a great question. And we've had some overdose deaths, some close to our family in the last week. It's when one happens, two more pop up. And here's the thing. People say, how are you going to pay your police department? Why are you paying them more? What are you going to do? Sometimes based on our police department, what we've done with Chief Breton for years has been a situation in Laporte. Sometimes we only can have 4 people on at a time. Think about 4 people covering our city and our department because we don't have enough officers. because we were one of the lowest paying departments for years in the region. And all of a sudden you have people that want their bikes caught. You want people that do minor crimes and they want that addressed, and we have 4 people. Then you think about a violent situation that happens and we're sending sometimes 1 officer without backup to that event. And people can say, oh, South Bend has much more problem. Well, they do, but they also send 16 officers to a violent offense. And we pay money up front to train these officers, and for too long have watched them get their training in Laporte and then leave. We are now taking from other departments. We are now taking from other communities and bringing them to Laporte because we have a package and a culture that these officers now want to be a part of. And we have high expectations. And the other part of that is the police department, the fire department work with these individuals that have a drug problem and connect them to support and send them to, what is the MERT programming, in-house, what do we want to call it? In-house training, in-house addict, what do you call it? Counseling. Here's the interesting thing. We did a sweep on Grove Street, Jeff Batchelor and I did. And they sent somebody that was on drugs. There was also an overdose where a young person died. And this person came running out of the house and said, I need help. So the police department connected her, sent her to the MERT program. That was on at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday. Jeff and I were following up on some code enforcement issues. And at 3 o'clock the next day, this young lady was sleeping in her house and left the program after 24 hours. People think we can force those individuals to stay, and we can't. We can only provide a ride, show them the information, and get them there. But they can leave. So the police are constantly dealing with this issue, and we have a fentanyl problem. We see it coming all around. And again, they've made 2 great arrests in the past few weeks, and now we have a bigger problem because someone's always popping up. But we will win this. The first step is to get our department where it needs to be, where we have more than 4 officers in a shift and putting them at risk.
What is the latest update on removing truck traffic in our downtown, and how can citizens help accomplish this task?
Say you support it. Nick Minnick has done a fantastic job developing a corridor concept that limits issues for houses, issues for farmers. I think it's very smart and it's creative and something that Laporte County can be very proud of as a part of this corridor. But the biggest part is financially, we need support from the federal government and the state government, and we are so lucky to have Jim Pressel with us because he was just meeting with the governor today to talk about how do we find funding for this corridor.
What types of housing does Laporte need, and what are you doing to address these needs?
All types. Low income, affordable, to high end. We didn't mention Beechwood Lakes because that won't happen until next year, but we have some exciting news about Beechwood Lakes and higher end housing. But you've seen us do what we're doing, house by house if we have to. The other part we're going to do, Jefferson Avenue, Harrison Avenue, Maple Avenue is the largest, highest poverty rate in the county. It's not Michigan City, it's not Kingsford Heights, it's the triangle that sits directly next to City Hall. And we're going to be using, the council's been very supportive of funds to get control of these houses away from our slumlords and get control and build them back up, knock them down and start over, but make affordable housing and affordable living that people can be proud of. And if we have to do it house by house, we will. My goal is a block by block, but we're going to make sure low-income people are incentivized to take care of a home that they can live in with their family.
What sort of city events can we look forward to next year?
According to Brett Benversi, many. So stay tuned, and if you have ideas, come see Brett, talk to him at the Civic. We have found his sweet spot. He is going to be a great event planner, and it all starts with the basketball tournament that's coming January 6th through the 8th. Don't miss it. Buy your tickets.
All right, Mayor. So last question. There are rumors you will be leaving Laporte soon for another position. Is that true?
You know, I really believe you finish what you start. And I am so excited for the next 2 years of this administration and what we can accomplish and being a part of the team that we're here. And I'm fully committed to staying here in these next 2 years and making sure we continue to move Laporte forward. So I hope that's a direct answer. It won't be enough for some, but I'm not going anywhere.
Thank you, Mayor. Please help me thank the mayor for his address tonight.
Thank you.
So I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight, for your attendance. Special thanks to Brett Benversi and his entire staff. Brett, we appreciate all that you do. Our caterers tonight, Bare Bones, Patrick's Grill, Melt Kitchen, and Little Bo Sweets. Hopefully you enjoyed the food. Those are all chamber members. We appreciate that. And we hope everybody has a great rest of their evening. Thank you.